All rise! All rise, ladies and gentlemen, because we rise once again with the society and we upgrade. We upgrade because our guest tonight, he has upgraded the society from going to contenders to champions. And he is going to be a huge part of things coming up at Nonstop Action Wrestling's Fatal Attraction at the Be Strong Performance Center in Swinton this Saturday. And he's going to tell us his role, and he's going to tell us all things related to the society, plus what it meant to him to win that first ever Nonstop Action Wrestling Tag Team Championship. He needs no introduction, but we're giving it to him anyway because he is the upgrade, and he reminded of us that correctly. So, what's up? Wait for it. Further ado here on the Sports Report. Number one, Global Sports Show. Pro wrestling star here from Nonstop Action Wrestling, Nonstop, Never Stop. One of the members of the first ever NSAW Tag Team Championships. He is the upgrade. Callam Majeikster. The champ is here. Congratulations,
Finally.
my friend.
Thank you. Oh, it took 10 years of my life, but it finally happened.
You got there, though. Listen, you got there. I know
Eventually.
it's been a journey. I know we spoke a few times on Sportswire, but we'll get into all the stuff with the society. But take a step back. You got there. At the end of the day, it took 10 years. It wasn't what we hoped for. Maybe we would have thought we would have got it 2 years ago or 5 years ago, but you're a champion. So congratulations, champion. Obviously, always good to be with you. And thank you for reminding us that we upgraded by having you on. We would have downgraded if we would have had Sunday's guest on, but that's here nor there. But for those that are listening and watching this on Sportswire Radio, set the tables for us on your standpoint and what it meant to you to become the first ever Nonstop Action Wrestling Tag Team Champion along with the rest of your brethren in the society.
Oh my God. I mean, I feel kind of bad because when I announced that I was going to be representing the society, I was going to be one of the members representing the society in the
I remember
Battle
it.
Royal, I didn't actually speak with the society. I didn't speak to Remus Kane or Kyle Kennedy or Jenny Hayes about it. I just said it. So I do kind of feel bad, but then also at the same time, we did win. And I wasn't going to let an opportunity like that go. You know, I had to go for it. And in the end, it paid off. And look at us now. I mean, and again, look at the society. Look at how much better we've become. Hell,
I said it. You guys went from contenders to champions. That's a big thing.
Exactly. And again, it's just change. I love change. And change is what we needed. And now we've got the best change of all, which is the championship. So honestly, and again, like I said, 10 years since I was 11 years old, since I was an 11-year-old kid, dressing up as Jeff Hardy, you know, to now having my own championship, it means the absolute world. And I genuinely cannot say anything less about it.
I mean, let me ask you then the silly question. I mean, so when you win the championship and you're there, we've all saw the video. I mean, did it meet or exceed expectations on what you would have expected the first time you'd become a champion?
As for crowd reaction, probably not. You know, again, when you're a kid and it's what you want to do, your first thought isn't, I want to be hated by everyone. You want everyone to cheer for you when you get your moment. But obviously you grow older, you realize what the real world is like. And the reaction we got said it all, because they hated the fact that we were the inaugural tag team champions, but it only made sense. And also, from a personal standpoint, holding the championship, it met many expectations. I felt a multitude of emotions, but in the end, I was the one walking out with the belt. So,
hey, listen, you're a champion, right? And I have a couple of comments. Let me get to a few of them. Let me get to Uncle Ralph from CCW and, of course, the Modern Day Mafia. And we certainly spoke a little bit about the Mafia last night, so maybe I'll get your thoughts on them later on. And My very good friend Anthony Finkel has a good comment for you. Actually, I want to get your thoughts on it. He says, Callum, congrats on winning the belt. Can you strum it like a guitar for a supporter from New York City? And Anthony was a bass player, so he might actually, want to see you strumming like a guitar.
I'll do you one better. We'll get the actual guitar.
Oh wow! I mean, did he ask you this beforehand, and you knew this was coming? I mean, boy, I've been around a long time when it comes to doing this, and I don't think I was prepared for that. And I mean, I guess you were.
I had no idea, but it was just there, and as soon as that comment popped up, I had to run for it.
Okay, that was pretty cool, I have to say. I definitely want to say I give you a lot of credit for that. That maybe you and Anthony could have a jam one of these days. Certainly, you do have an appetite for destruction. You certainly did use your illusions there with that. And of course, our very good friend, Mr. Andrew Hanley, says, good evening. Okay, so obviously you win this championship. So I got to ask you, because I want to get a few thoughts more on this before we go into Saturday's card and where the society goes from here. What was the first thing you did with your share of the championship?
Oh, God. I mean, I'll be honest. I cried. I definitely cried.
Really?
Well, I mean, again, when you do something like wrestling for 10 years, and when you're constantly, when you're constantly told that you will be a champion and you'll have these opportunities, and then for him just to be taken away every single time, you start to lose hope. So then, when again, being told, okay, you've got an opportunity for a championship, don't screw it up. I had to make sure I didn't screw it up. Even if that meant that I purposely get eliminated so Remus can get the win. As I said last night when Cerebral Steve was trying to comment, it was a perfectly executed plan that benefited us. So,
hey, we've seen it. Listen, we've seen it in Rumbles before, where sometimes somebody does something intentional and it leads to something else happening, and that's for the greater good. And you guys have always, and Remus said it last night, you guys really do stick together. So at the end of the day, the common cause is for all of you guys to win. So at the end of the day, your sacrifice actually helped the team. And that's kind of the whole point of the society. That's why we've upgraded in the society. That's why we've certainly upgraded it. And I kind of wanted to ask you that question on the championship, because I know Remus had won a title before. So I thought in some ways it would be interesting to hear what you did the first time in winning a championship.
And again, this is the thing, as I said, before the event happened, Remus had already won a championship. Kyle Kennedy, he'd already won, the World Class Championship, albeit being ripped from him by NSAW, but he still had won that championship. He still had that moment. I'd never even had a moment like that. I never got to even hold a championship. So again, that's why it was so big for me, and that's why I was very selfish to put myself forward. But
no, listen, I told you when you came on the first time. I think I remember having this conversation with you. In wrestling, you've got to look out for yourself. You've got to think in some ways about yourself. Yes, obviously the society. I know we all rise to the society. Yes, but I mean, look at where you were from when the first time I had you on about 4 or 5 months ago to where you are now. You're holding gold. I mean, you're an upgrade 100%. Now.
You've done a lot for me. I mean, hell, you got me bookings at GTM. You got, you said next year, last year you said, next year I'll be a champion.
Do you want me to be a manager? I mean, I could certainly be a manager if you want. I mean, don't worry, I won't charge you anything. I mean, if you're looking for me to be you're looking for me to be a manager, I mean, we could definitely talk off the air. I mean, I'll gladly do that. I mean, certainly, we love you here on Sportswire for sure. But I mean, obviously, I just think back from 5 months ago when it was like, well, I had this and I had that, and I look at you now. In a way, I know you've had 10 years in the business, which is kind of hard to fathom. You're 21, but you started at 11. You remind me of guys like 2-Bit and Will Carter over in Odyssey and in KOW. But I mean. Yeah, I mean, but to be now where you are, I mean, I think it certainly speaks volumes to what you've done. And I think even in the past few months since you've joined the society, I really do think you've evolved in terms of who you are and what you're going to be, I think.
100%. And I will give the society the credit for as long as I can breathe. When the society picked me up, I was a mess. I mean, a lot of personal stuff kind of going on. There was a lot of things that were going on mentally. I mean, wrestling, there was always a part of me that didn't want to do wrestling anymore. There was a part of me that just thought I was done, that wrestling wasn't for me. It's a society that's picked me up. It's a society that's brought me back, and it's a society that has brought in the upgrade. So All my
Absolutely.
credit goes to them.
Definitely. No, listen, we love this society. And also, we have here the lawman, Kyle Kennedy, who says, there he is, Mr. Sportswire himself. And also, this individual, who, by the way, is coming on next Thursday to Sportswire. I know you and him have had an interesting back and forth. And he says, evening jet. And then he, again, spells your name wrong, says Callam. Is that a running thing on purpose? I mean, it's almost like Dan Robertson says he and Remus Kane are basically Kane Joy, and then you have Matt Royale, who certainly has his own things. I mean, you want to say anything to Mr. Royale?
I mean, I'm just disappointed that again you spelt my name wrong, and you're gonna blame autocorrect because everyone likes to blame autocorrect. But it's the fact that we basically grew up together. You know, we trained together for
I
years.
remember when you first came on the first time that we spoke about that. I remember that very well.
But he still can't get it right. So again, you're just pushing your luck more and more. But it's fine because if you carry on winding me up, it's only going to backfire on you. Because not only am I going to kick the living crap out of you, but the society are going to kick the living crap out of you as well. Whether that's at NSAW, whether that's WAS, hell, maybe even Blackout will decide to book you. It'll happen there as well. So be careful, okay? Be very, very careful.
Well, what's the old expression that be careful what you wish for? And Wrestling Appreciation Society is not that far away. You know, I think we're resuming coverage of Wrestling Appreciation Society next Thursday. So it's been a while that we spoke about them, but it's not that far away now. I mean, we're in February now, so we're 2.5 months.
It's 2.5 months away, yes. And myself and Remus still have an open challenge that's yet to be answered. No one's answered the open challenge yet. No one has accepted. And granted, my birthday, my 22nd birthday, is the day after deadline. But just because it's my birthday doesn't mean I like surprises. So someone needs to answer quickly before I decide I cannot be bothered anymore.
Well, I tell you what, there's a bunch of comments. I think we triggered the bat signal here about Wrestling Appreciation Society. I want to give a shout out to my good friend, though, another wrestler from the state of New York, upstate, though, in New York, a little bit further away from me. Mr. C2K says hello, and C2K is always doing something. But the lawman has a comment, which I should probably ask your thoughts on. April 29th cannot come quick enough. And I'll tell you what, today in New York feels almost like weather-wise like April the 29th. And he also says Donnie franchise is getting a whooping. I mean, I think I had said this, I think maybe last time you were on, or one of the more recent times that Mr. Lawman was on. And I think I kind of felt like in some ways that was going to be the coming out party of the society, and that was going to be where we almost see a coronation. But I think that came a couple of months early. I mean, do you guys feel like, and I'll say this for the rest of you, I know all of you guys and gals with Jenny as well will be in the house coming up on the 29th, but do you guys almost feel like now that you guys are going to run that place and kind of rule that place in Wrestling Appreciation Society, especially because now you guys and gals have the gold? Talk to me.
There was no question about us running the place anyway. I mean, as I have said multiple times, many of the Wrestling Appreciation Society roster are university students who are wrestling fans who think they can step into this world. So, but, you know, they don't want to completely embarrass themselves. So that's why they have booked people like myself, the Lawman, Remus Kane, Jenny Hayes, because we know what the hell we're doing. Hell, I think I'm one of the most experienced guys on the roster.
I think actually, now I'm thinking about it, I actually think that you probably have more experience, maybe even than Tommy Dillon, because you've been technically in the business longer than him.
I've wrestled longer than Tommy Dillon. Tommy Dillon's only done it, what, 7, 8 years?
I think it's 7.
So I've done it longer than Tommy Dillon. There you go. The only person that comes close to me is Matt Royale. But even then, I've still got a couple of years over him. So, and I basically taught him most of the stuff he knows anyway, because when I went to that training school for the first time, none of them knew how to deliver a kick. I was the only one that knew how to do that. So I taught him how to do that. So you're welcome, Matt.
Well, I'll tell you what. I do have some more comments, so let me get to comments here. C2K has got a funny comment. I would accept your challenge, but I think I'm too far. Love the belt though. So C2K basically says, he's too far away. But that's
Oh,
okay.
excuses coming in already and too far away. There is nothing stopping you
Well,
from jumping on a
well,
plane.
if I am your manager, I would say let's focus on other intermediate places. Let's focus on what Mr. Royale has to say. So let's go first. And we love C2K, by the way, here on Sportswire, but let's focus on what Mr. Royale is saying, because he says, I'm already scouting talent for your little open challenge at deadline. And if you and Remus are as confident as you make out you are, you'll put those tag titles on the line. That's if you don't lose them this weekend. So let's talk about that for a second, because obviously Remus spoke about the open challenge. He's got his own challenge ahead. And my advice at the end of the show last night before I announced you was, if you were considering entering the open challenge, I would certainly reconsider those plans, especially with the state that Remus is in. He's more sadistic than ever. He's more twisted, hardcore. Look at what you've done as the upgrade. I mean, do you have any inclinations yet? I mean, today it's what, 8:20 UK time? I mean, what are we, about 70 hours or so? I mean, you have an inclination or of an idea who you think is going to answer this challenge or anything like that?
I haven't got a clue because, again, no one is saying anything. Everyone is staying quiet. I mean, what teams do we even have in NSAW? We've got the Playtime Mafia, who already have their beef with the modern day Mafia. So I don't know what the hell's going on with them. So they probably won't accept. There's the Super Best Buds, but I can't even remember the last time I saw Champ Rogers wrestle.
I was gonna say, Sammy Blue's in the ring defending his Northern Division title. So I mean, what kind of state would Sammy Blue even be in to actually answer that challenge?
What's he called? Chris Murphy or whatever he's called. Does he have a tag team partner? Because I haven't seen his tag team
He's got multiple different companies, Mr. Chris Murphy.
Exactly. I haven't seen a single one show up.
And he's in the ring with Sammy Blue also, and he's made his stake for the Northern Division title. Can I bring up one team, though, that you referenced, and we've had them on a couple of times, and we saw them at Nuclear Winter. Now, I don't know what their status is. I don't know what they're going to be, if they're ever going to be invited back into Nonstop Action Wrestling. I think you know who they are. You spoke about them at your promo a few days ago after you won the gold. That is the first class. That is the Nomad Dalton Garrett and Champagne Charlie. And obviously those guys have gold already in different companies. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. I hope I'm not tipping my hand. I haven't heard anything from management like you, but do you think that's a team that would want to consider to answer that challenge? They have definitely been pretty brazen and kind of going back and forth with you, Remus, and even the lawman, Kyle Kennedy. You have any thoughts on that?
Honestly, for a split second, I completely forgot who the hell they were. Hell, you saw in the promo, I couldn't even remember what they were called. Dalton.
Yes, I did hear that. And Kyle Kennedy was referring to the fact that the Nomad's been around since the Nomad times in one of our most recent shows.
That's not even me being. That's not me being cocky. That's not me, trying to stir the pot. That's me genuinely forgetting who they were. Because again, yes, they were at Nuclear Winter for the space of about 10 minutes. Against
I think just about. I mean, just about.
And Young Horace, which are hardly a team together anyway. We could have said maybe they'd accept it, but we all know that's not going to happen. And they're finally facing each other after the 58,000th time or something like that.
We had him on here on Sportswire. Basically took Joshua Snow to basically get them to be in the ring, and Dan Robertson. I mean, obviously, I'm sure he'll be brought up. Fortunately or unfortunately, I mean, he don't seem like he wants that match.
No, of course he doesn't want the match, because again, he's all talk. It'd be the exact same if myself and him were in the ring together. He wouldn't want it because he knows he can't do anything. He knows that he would be my lapdog, not me being the society's lapdog, which I'm so sick of hearing. He would be my lapdog, because he wouldn't be able to do anything.
I think some might say, and I know that Mr. Robertson was in the CCW Fighter Strike 2 Rumble a couple of weeks ago, but some would say that Mr. Robertson is writing off his 5 minutes of fame where Gareth Angel, when he was still active in GT Ministries, threw him out of the ring, and with Jack Johnson, who at the time was the former and now at the time GTM champion. So some might say that Mr. Robertson is living off that, not even 15 minutes of fame, but 5 minutes of fame.
Of course he is. Everyone's tried to have their 15 minutes of fame when they've gone to GTM. Hell, I got it twice. The first time it wasn't even as myself; it was as someone else because they didn't
But you
show up.
had a match at least, though. Robertson literally got
Exactly.
tossed out of the ring. I mean,
That is true, to be fair. And to be fair, Robertson, you had it coming because, don't get me wrong, I'm all for, as I've said, stirring the pot, causing a bit of drama. But you went a little bit too personal, and so you had it coming to you. Hell, if you went that personal with me, you wouldn't have even made it out the ring. Simple as that. You would
well,
not have
that's true. Well, certainly, Mr. Johnson and Mr. Angel, who at the time certainly had no love between each other, certainly united and actually removed Mr. Robertson. But that's here nor there. That's here nor there. Mr. Lawman Kyle Kennedy says these Wrestling Appreciation Society boys are way too over their heads.
They are.
Spot on, Callam. See, that was easy. Let me ask you a question, though. I want to talk about Wrestling Appreciation Society for a second. We'll come back to Enso. We'll come back to Saturday's show. I want to talk again about the Open Challenge, and I want to maybe bring up a few other thoughts on that. But do you feel like, especially now because you guys have gold, and I asked this question to Remus, and I want to get your thoughts on it, because obviously now we've transitioned to contenders to champions. Do you guys feel like going into the 29th of April over there in Huddersfield that there's going to be a further bullseye or a target on your guys' backs because you guys are the tag team champions?
Of course, there's going to be a target on our backs. I knew that as soon as I won the championship. I knew that a lot more people were going to be targeting us. But again, the WAS roster, the majority of them, haven't had a single match. I've only had a couple of training sessions. And again, like you said, we're 2.5 months away from the show? In fact, yeah, and it's the fact that, what's it called? That Zest something. Help me out, Tom. Zest.
Oh, the new guy that basically appeared on one of the videos. Are we talking about that here at Wrestling Appreciation Society? Is that where we're going on?
I think it is. Yeah, I noticed he was making a lot of comments on Remus's Instagram post, and again, I don't even know who this kid is, and he's wanting to challenge us.
Well, you know what they say in wrestling: if you don't know somebody, you don't give them free time. You are on Sportswire. Exactly. I mean, I know the crack staff has figured out who you're talking about, but I would say to that point that I wouldn't certainly look to give a free advertising to somebody here, when it comes to that. But obviously, look, let's take a step back for a second. We'll come back to that, in terms of their roster. But I do feel like in a lot of ways that people are going to be gunning for you because not just your tag team champions, you are the first ever nonstop action wrestling tag team champions. Remus had said, well, reigns could end. There's an end point. But the point is nobody can take away, regardless of whatever happens, you're the first champions. Somebody's going to want to make a name off you guys. And you talk about the fact also, which I really wanted to bring up, which we kind of got sidetracked by somebody that most people don't even know of. So let's get back on track. And what I wanted to bring up is that in 2.5 months from now is a long time from now. I'm going to say that you and the rest of the society are going to be in the ring several times between now and the 29th of April. So I would have to ask you then, I mean, if I'm these young trainees, what can you really offer in the ring to the fact that you training can't make up for that actual match? You have 10 years of experience. Remus has done a lot. He's been in multiple companies. The Lawman's been in multiple companies. Jenny does a whole bunch of different things, and she's had her own experience. She's already been in the ring at Enso Asylum shows in the past. So, I mean, these trainees, would the advice be to reconsider the 29th of April? Because between now and then, they're going to have no experience. I mean, I don't even know how can you go out and want to say, I'm going to advertise myself when you don't have experience against you guys.
Now, don't get me wrong. I will not say to them, don't do the show. We've all got to start somewhere, okay? But the point that I'm trying to make is don't keep saying that you're all going to be the greatest, because, again, you're not. Simple as that. The greatest are the society. As individuals, we are the greatest members of that roster. That is what I'm trying to say. When you are calling us all out, saying that you're going to be the best wrestler in WAS, when you're going to eliminate us, when you're going to beat us. That is what angers me, because why would you? What you think you're going to pull a trick on us? You think you're going to pull a trick on me and get the win that way? Again, done this for 10 years. I know every single trick in the book. There's nothing you can do. I just don't get it with these kids. That's what it's simple as that. I just do not get it.
And although I'm really doing this individual a favor because my crack staff, because we do have a crack staff on Sportswire, the wrestler that you were referring to is Zachary Zest. That's the individual that you were referring to, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know. I really did this guy. I basically, as The Undertaker would famously say years ago when he was doing the American Badass gimmick, that I almost made you famous. So, I mean, congratulations, Zachary. You've made it to Sportswire because your name was mentioned. That was kind of, I think, what you were referring to. But we are on Sportswire Radio right now with one of the members of the first ever Nonstop Action Wrestling Tag Team Champions. His name is the Upgrade, Callam Majeikster. Callam is going to be in the ring coming up here this Saturday at Nonstop Action Wrestling's Fatal Attraction at the Be Strong Performance Center in Swinton. For more information on that show, you can go to Nonstop Action Wrestling on Facebook, YouTube, also the Nonstop Action Wrestling Universe on Facebook as well. Also Nonstop Action Wrestling on YouTube, where you can see videos, you can see other stuff out there. Also NSAW Wrestling UK as well on Instagram. Also, I think it's NSAW_Res UK as well on Twitter. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. And if you like what you hear from us on Sportswire Radio, you can give us a like on Facebook at Sportswire Radio. Over 500 followers. Thank you, everybody, for your continued support. YouTube now at Sportswire Radio. We've had some new subscribers over the past several days. I really appreciate that very much. Also, if you like to hear all of our content, you don't want to see my mutton chops or my mugshot when we're live, you can check us out anytime on the World Wide Web at sportnarium.com/player, where 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, we play all your favorite stuff, whether it's music, talk, sports, you name it, we play it. And Friday, we'll be back around 9 o'clock with Jenny Hayes. Jenny will be rounding out the society. She'll have a lot to say to the Rock Isle of the UK. We'll talk some music. We'll talk Saturday show. So looking forward to having Jenny on here. But I have some comments here from somebody else that you addressed in your last video. I think you're going to know who this person is. His name is Pride. Pride also says here, looking forward to seeing you at the Wrestling Appreciation Society. Pride has no hard feelings for their ankle. The rules were clear. No shenanigans during the match. I'll see you at Wrestling Appreciation Society. You're in the Rumble, right? Pride will also be a Fatal Attraction, but is otherwise engaged with the Swarm. So let's talk about Pride, because you talk about Pride. You spoke about the fact that he called you the lapdog. And anything else you'd like to say to Mr. Pride?
Pride, I'm glad that there's no hard feelings from your end, because there were many hard feelings from my end. I mean, you were the one that called me out. You were the one that was saying stuff about me on social media, on Sportswire Radio when you were commenting away after I had left, and you paid the consequences. And yes, again, in the match, you said there would be no tricks. There was no tricks during the match. I kicked the crap out of you before, and I kicked the crap out of you during, and you lost. Simple as that. And yes, I am going to be in the Rumble. Unlike you, who will already be out by the time I'm there, so don't be waiting for me.
All right. Well, certainly those are some strong comments there. I also want to get to our friends over at Nonstop Action Wrestling, who say, evening, gentlemen. Big congrats to Callam and his society cohorts becoming NSAW Tag Team Champions. So let me ask you this question, if you don't mind, about Nonstop Action Wrestling and management. I mean, anything you want to say directly to management, especially because we spoke about the open challenge for a little bit. We'll come back to that, but anything you want to say toward management?
Well, if we're going to talk about an open challenge, management best make sure it's someone good, because I'm in a very, very good mood. I'm in a very giving mood, and I want to give the NSAW crowd something to look forward to, and something to be excited about, and something to appreciate. But what I also want to say, since, I am the Upgrade and all, you made a great choice in putting the society forward for these championships, because just imagine if it had been the other guy. They wouldn't have even been considered. So, good choice, NSAW.
Well, that's a fair point. I mean, certainly as a fair point here, and obviously, we'll also, I'm sure, see what happens with Pride at Nonstop Action Wrestling's Fatal Attraction. Certainly, he's got his hands full with the Swarm, who basically are dead weight. We spoke about
Oh,
them. We won't go too. We won't speak too much of them much longer
okay.
here.
Yeah, good idea.
But I wanted to ask you because Remus spoke about his open challenge, and looking at the state of Remus these days, I mean, I really, again, I would certainly say I would really tread very lightly, and I would almost
Oh,
say don't bother in answering his open challenge. And for whatever reason, the Metallica song "Don't Tread on Me" comes to mind from the Black Album. That could be maybe that would be the battle cry, I think, for anybody that might step in there with Remus. But I mean, any inclinations there? I mean, Remus had a lot to say about that. But what do you think in terms of Remus's open challenge out there?
I'm gonna be very honest with everyone. All right,
Okay.
I love Remus. You know, again, he's helped me out. He's given me a lot of opportunities, and he has definitely taken me under his wing alongside the lawman Kyle Kennedy. Remus scares the ever loving crap out of me, though.
Listen, we had him
Like,
on last night. I was like, if
yeah,
you notice, I kept calling him Mr. Kane. I kept calling
yes.
him
Have you, have you,
Mr.
have you ever wondered why I never tried to call him out or why I never actually faced him? Because he
Good
scares
point.
the crap out of me. Why the hell would I want to face someone who scares the living crap out of me? And I say that having wrestled buddy Creeper Ian Creed and, you know, being in the same locker room as Bloody Rarebit and stuff like that. Like, genuinely people who
Well,
talk about
Rabbit, I have
intelligence.
to say, I watched when Disciple was in the ring with Rabbit months back,
Yeah,
and even Disciple was like a little bit,
yeah.
oh, okay,
And
okay.
not a single one of them has scared me as much as Remus does. And that's with love. Like, believe me, if that was with hate, if I never joined a society, I would not be accepting that open challenge at all. So whoever does accept that open challenge, good luck. You're gonna need it. In fact, there's no point even wishing good luck because it's just not gonna make a difference anyway. But still,
Well, let me ask
awesome.
you a follow-up question. I didn't think to ask this to Remus. Maybe I'll get Jenny's thoughts on it, but I want to get your thoughts on it here since I have you in front of us on Sportswire Radio. But I mean, do you think that it would have been better if Nonstop Action Wrestling's management just booked you guys in a match? Let's say you guys to defend the titles against whoever it might be on the roster, or Remus to be in action. And I don't know, let's say number one contendership for the Northern Division, or some sort of match that maybe would just be determined already. I mean, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean,
Because some might say I would want to know my opponents beforehand.
again, I can't speak for Remus because
Okay.
again, I don't know, I don't understand how he thinks. He has his own mentality, okay, and that's not something I'm going to question. As for myself, don't get me wrong. Yes, I do prefer to know who my opponent's going to be. I like to do my research. I like to research who my opponent is going to be.
Because some could say that you get an advantage if you're the other side, and let's say management 4 days ago knows who's answering the open challenge. Those people, they've heard Remus, they've heard you, they're going to hear Jenny on Friday, so they can kind of figure out and kind of plot what they need to do to kind of maybe get some advantages over you guys, and kind of figure out the spots and kind of the weak spots, and different things where there's going to be an opportunity for them. That's why I kind of thought that, because
and
in some ways it can work the other way.
and the thing is they can absolutely think that. And if the teams were just myself and Kyle Kennedy, or myself and Remus, or Remus and Kyle Kennedy, if it was just a set team, then 100% they could have that advantage. But it's the fact that they're not always going to know which one of us are representing the society and which one of us are going to be defending these championships, because we are, of course, under the Freebird rule. Any of us can defend these
Right, the
championships.
New Day rule as well, and the New Day held the belts. Yep.
Yeah, so it's great and all that you think you can do that, but you don't necessarily always know who it is that's going to represent the society. You could do your research on Carl Kennedy as much as you want, but then you will get a massive surprise when it is myself and Remus in the ring. All that research you've done is going to go to nothing. So it's not really an advantage anymore, is it?
So let me get to a comment here, and I'm going to sidetrack Nonstop Action Wrestling for a second because I want to give a mention to somebody because they have a stream coming up, I believe, in about 25 minutes
Okay.
over in Carnage Championship Wrestling. And I actually want to now ask this. I'm going to put this guy on the spot right now. I hope I'm not getting in trouble with this because he's supposed to be in the ring with Remus very soon, and that
Oh.
is the gentleman thug Ronnie Thatcher, and he's the Carnage Wrestling hardcore champion there. And I was kind of curious because the last I checked, I hadn't seen you on the CCW cards, and I was wondering for the gentleman thug Ronnie Thatcher. You looking for an upgrade? You looking to upgrade Carnage Championship Wrestling there? And maybe you might want to bring in Callam Majeikster. He's got gold already. I mean,
There
would
we
you,
go.
Mr. Upgrade, would you want to be at a place like Carnage Championship Wrestling and maybe join the likes of your brethren, Mr. Kane?
Of course. It's an opportunity to wrestle, for God's sake. Why wouldn't I want to? And hell, if it's with the society as well,
Because,
Carnage
Kyle Kennedy, we've
Championship.
seen have a history in CCW. We know Remus, and I'm like, well, what about Callum there?
I mean, again, everyone fears the society a lot more since I joined. And again, it's because we're a lot more intelligent, we're a lot more fierce. We also don't give a damn. And that's what scares a lot of people. What scares a lot of people is how much we do not care. And so they worry about their rosters. And that's why we're not all put on together. That's why they're only having certain members at a time. It makes sense, but it would be
Okay,
a lot
all
more
right.
entertaining if all of us were there.
Well, the lawman Kyle Kennedy said basically what I was kind of thinking maybe. The society will invade CCW. Give it time. And I would certainly say that. I mean, we heard some talk about the elite, and we're going to have Walker Wall Street on first. And the elite right now are not in the society's league at the moment because the elite lost the tag team championships. They lost them to the CWO. So I kind of think the society and the CWO.
Are we talking about the elite from AEW?
No, the elite in CCW, Walker Wall Street and Tommy Diamond, they were in they actually took the titles from the working class militia. They wound up losing the titles in CCW to Rockstar Rob Bagwell and Dustin Hart. Yeah, I know you probably were like, who's the elite, right? Because they
Yeah,
lost the belt actually.
I've never been so confused. Like,
Well, that's why they're not as elite anymore. So that's why Walker Wall Street's going to talk about it with us on Friday, where they go from here, because they used to hold gold like you guys have currently, and they lost the gold to Dustin Hart and Rockstar Rob Bagwell in CCW. So that's where I kind of see the two main groups right now, the Society and the CWO. But Dylan Pickens says, "Good day, gentlemen." And I'll come back to Dylan in a second. But management from Nonstop Action Wrestling, you might be so ever
oh,
curious. They've responded to what I had to say, and I want to get your thoughts
nah.
on this. We found your opponents. You'll find out this Saturday. Isn't that kind of
Oh,
what I kind of had thought in mind, Callum, in the fact that I think all along that management has known who your opponents are for days, and they're basically trying to psych you guys out there. What do you think on that?
right. The question I want to ask you is: you've heard the story of Tyson Fury, haven't you? You've
Of
heard how,
course. Of
yeah, you've
course.
heard how his mental state absolutely ruined him, and he came back.
Yep.
I was very similar. My mental state was absolutely ruined, and it only really picked up after I fixed myself, upgraded myself, and joined the society. So NSAW cannot psych me out because I've already psyched myself out multiple times. And if anything, there's more chance of me psyching NSAW management out because I have that power. And again, when you've been in the industry for 10 years, there's a little thing you learn called psychology. I didn't need a university degree for psychology. I just did wrestling for 10 years and I know every single element of it.
Okay, all right. So I'll come back to that. But the gentleman thug Ronnie Thatcher has actually responded to what I had to say here.
Oh,
So
okay.
he says, "Let's see how your boy Remus holds up on the 25th," which, by the way, is 2 weeks from Saturday. And I think there was 8 tickets left last I checked. Did we sell out, Ronnie Thatcher, or are we just about sold out? If I'm not mistaken, I know it was 10 tickets the day prior. We had 8 tickets left yesterday. So if I think we'll be sold out for sure some point soon. But as your boy won't be the same again, and we are elite establishment, and trust me, my gold isn't going anywhere soon. Any thoughts on that before I get to more comments?
Then you have not seen this Remus Kane. You've never even been in the ring with this Remus Kane. So it's all good saying that my boy won't hold. You've no idea what you are in for. And trust me, if there is anyone who will not be the same after, it is you, my good sir.
Okay. All right. And I want to give Ronnie a plug before he goes. I know he has a stream in about 20 minutes. And if you can go to the Cutlery Championship Wrestling group page on Facebook, also Carnage Championship Wrestling, I believe that Ronnie, I'm sure, will have something to talk about, or a lot to talk about as always. And he says we're very close to a sellout. We definitely know that it'll be sold out very soon. And my very good friend, also another wrestler here, who was on a couple weeks ago, says, Mr. Adam Morgan says, frail, the skin is dry and pale. The pain will never fail. And so we go back to the remedy. And he also says, you could be in the band Seether, because I think he's referring to the Seether song Remedy. I think that's the one. It's the remedy, something like that. With you and the remedy. I don't know. Were you a big Seether fan? Because I was kind of like, I could really.
Not really. No, I'm more of a Slipknot and Korn kind of guy. I won't lie. But
Korn's okay. I didn't buy the last album. The one before that I wound up buying, the Nothing, and then I liked Untouchables. Untouchables was okay because I was just going into high school, so that was actually an okay album. And he also says you wear the same lipstick, I think, as the frontman of Seether. So I will say that's just his random thoughts there. Random thoughts. Hey, that's what you get when you get live. I will say though that the guy from Seether, the singer, I believe, was dating the singer of Evanescence for a while, so he was a lucky guy. But hey, he blew that pretty much. So that's on him. But let me come back to the lawman, but I want to get to this comment from Dylan Picken. He says, how do you feel about people who laugh at the society instead of fear? After all, you can be beat. We've seen it multiple times. You want to address this comment from this individual?
I will address it. And it's a short and sweet, simple answer. They ain't laughing anymore, are they? That's all.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, it's pretty much, listen, you have gold, right? It doesn't matter what's the old adage? It doesn't matter how you got the gold. You got the gold. So at the end of the day, you have what people want in all professional wrestling. Like I said last night on Sportswire Radio, that is the championship you have right now that everybody around the world wants. I don't care if you're in AEW. I don't care if you're MLW now is a show on the Reels Network here in America. I don't care if you're in Impact. I don't care if you're in any other company, GTM, KOW, Odyssey, Blackheart, Wrestling Appreciation Society, CCW. I don't care where you're from, the LWF. That's the championship. That's the prize. Listen, the Usos dream of having that championship. Listen, I mean, you think about it. Listen, the Elite in AEW would dream to have that championship. I mean, listen, the Acclaimed would dream to have that championship. I mean, any team you think of would dream to have that championship, but it's the society that holds those championships. That's why you need to follow Callam Majeikster. It's Callam_Majeikster on Instagram. Also, follow his page on Facebook. He's got a page where it's all stuff he's going to be doing, whether it's videos, whether it's matches. Follow his page and certainly make sure you join and rise to the society. Also, the lawman Kyle Kennedy says here, NSOL management trying to screw over the society. What? No, blasphemy. Can I ask you a question? And I'm curious because I want to go to management in a different way. Have you guys spoke to Mixed Knights about that? MX Knights, his thoughts on maybe anything, or if he knows anything about this, because he's a part of management still, correct?
I have no clue. I'm going to be honest. I don't really speak to MX Knights probably as much as I should do.
Okay, because I would think that maybe if there's a way, right? Because he still has his spot in management. I would almost think that would be a conversation, and you don't have to tell us live here on Sportswire, but I would think between now and Saturday evening in Swinton that there would at least be conversations to ask MX Knights about, hey, what's going on here with management and these open challenges? I mean, that's what I would think.
Now that you mention it, I'll certainly be giving a message or a phone call and see if we can find anything out.
We'll see. All right, well, that's certainly fair here. I mean, I would just think that would be the case. And let me ask you this question, because we spoke about some other companies. We spoke a little about CCW. We spoke about Wrestling Appreciation Society. But, I mean, I asked this question, I think, to Hybrid when he won the CCW title, and I want to ask you because it's the first time you've won a championship also. So, what are some of your other goals for 2023?
Hmm.
It could be anything. It could
That's a
be.
good, that is a good question, you know. Well, I will say one thing that I constantly pointed out whenever the cameras were on me on Saturday in the UKW arena. The UKW ring was the first ring that I ever wrestled in. It was the ring that I debuted in. And then 10 years later, I was winning my first ever championship in it. So it would be nice to, return full time to UKW, but we shall see. I will say, I mean, again, we got the Freebird rule. Any one of us can defend the tag team championships. But I feel like singles gold is definitely calling my name. Am I going to go for the world class title? No. I had my chance. I faced Tommy Dillon for it at GTM. I lost. I accept that. Disciples got it now, but Remus has already made it clear that that's what he wants. So I'm thinking maybe the Northern Division Championship, especially being someone who is Northern. I feel like that title's possibly calling my name, and whether it'll be at Zenith, whether it'll be later, maybe it'll be at a Black Art show, maybe it'll be somewhere in Scotland for all I know. Callam Majeikster versus Sammy Blue sounds like a match that will definitely sell tickets.
Well, I want to ask you that, and I have a ton of comments after some of the things I had to say, so I knew I must have ruffled somebody's feathers. But I mean, let me ask you because I'd asked Remus this question. I know he had been in the ring with Sammy, and Sammy had won the title over him, and Sammy's going to be wrestling the Irish Wonder Chris Murphy, who I know you guys kind of don't think too much of, and for a number of different reasons. But I mean, who do you think wins it? Do you think it's a foregone conclusion that Sammy wins? I know people say, well, Chris Murphy hasn't won a match in NSAR, but I would also point out that Chris Murphy does hold 2 championships in other promotions. He does hold gold for what that's worth. I mean, do you think it's a foregone conclusion Sammy wins there, or what's your thoughts there in that?
I mean, whether Sammy wins or whether Chris wins, it doesn't really matter because I'm still going to be gunning for that championship anyway at the first opportunity that I get. But realistically, I mean, I'd have to agree. I think it is going to be Sammy because, like you said, Chris Murphy hasn't won a single match in
I
the
like Chris Murphy though, but I mean there is a point that people would
You
say
may like
objectively. I try to be objective that he hasn't won a match yet in NSAR.
you may like Chris Murphy, and that's great for you. But
I understand.
it's just not my cup of tea. It's
I
not someone
respect
that
that.
I'm interested in.
No,
It's
he's
not
not
someone
everybody's cup of tea. I know certainly, he's kind of been brash. I mean, we've had him on a couple times on Sportswire, and I'm sure he'll be back. But I mean, he certainly has an interesting way about going about things. And Sammy, whether you like Sammy a lot, Sammy's been very impressive in the ring. I mean, even look at what he did with Disciple last week. And
yeah.
I mean, I was speaking with the champion off the air, and the champion certainly was very obviously very successful and very joviant. But he said, Sammy's a great wrestler. Sammy, certainly has earned a lot of respect from wrestlers in different
Oh,
companies, and
believe me,
Sammy's done a good job. I mean, whether you like Sammy or
yeah.
not, I respect what he brings to the table in the ring.
Believe me, I've never taken anything away from Sammy. He's absolutely a tremendous performer, but unfortunately for him, I'm just that little bit better. So
Well, you are the upgrade. I mean, to be fair, that's what they
exactly,
call you an upgrade, right? Well, done on
and that
done.
championship needs upgrading.
All right, let me get to a couple comments. I want to get to Mixed Knights first because MX Knight says, Callam, you've done excellent in proving yourself so far. You will not lose the championships anytime soon. He also goes on and saying that now that's something I'd be happy to see. The society putting down the modern day mafia and finally shutting those mouths. I mean, they don't work in nonstop action wrestling, though. I mean, I know that they had their issues with the Playtime Mafia, but if I'm not mistaken, they don't work here in NSAW. So, I mean, is that more something where would you guys want to lobby to face them, or that's something that's management's call?
Again, I'm going to be honest. I could not care less about the modern day mafia. It's not something that's even piques my interest. But if it's something I have to do, if the people I have to fight, then I'll fight them, and I don't care where the hell it is. If it's in NSAW, Again, NSAR, Blackheart, UKW, even if you have to go down to CCW, I don't care.
Well, that's where they work now these days in CCW. And I know Uncle Ralph is tuned in. He's commented on it. But I wanted to ask you though. Oh, and Mixed Knights actually says he was directly replying to Mr. Uncle Ralph. So okay, but let me ask you though. I guess that kind of I'll come back to my question then because I had a question, but I think that MX Knights actually stole my answer, so I'm gonna have to gonna go back to that. But I have a good one though from this individual. Any teams that you want to face for the belts? Is there a hit list for the society?
For me, it's anyone that's actually worth the fight. This is the thing. Like, it's all good putting me against someone, putting the society against a team for the championship. But if they're not even worth our time, then why are we even bothering?
Fair.
So,
No, I mean that's certainly fair. I mean,
if
I
I
listen.
think you're worth my time, then 100% come on down and challenge us. But if I don't think you're worth my time, I will say it to your face and then slap you because I don't care.
Okay, all right. For whatever reason, that reminds me of when I think it was in the Genesis song where Phil Collins says, "I don't care, I don't care, I don't care." Towards the end of this, I don't know if you're a Genesis fan, but that just came up. I heard it one day on the radio, and I was like, that just for whatever reason. We play a lot of music on Sportswire. I formulate the music, so I kind of have that still music DJ side of me. So I guess I'm not going to ask you then further about the modern day mafia because I think that question's been kind of answered, and I kind of spoke about it with Remus, and it's really not your call and such. And also, I have a comment though. Actually, somebody stole my thunder because somebody else came in here, an individual that I think we've seen before on Sportswire. I don't want to say any further, but he does ask who is worth your time, and also spells your
Yeah,
name wrong, by the way.
I was about
So
to say, people who spell my name right first are a great start, especially again considering how long we've known each other. But I'll let it slide because enough people have said things about you, so I'm not going to do that. Okay. But again, people who I think are worthy. I mean, and again, it all depends on who proves themselves worthy. I mean, if GTM have any tag teams,
autocorrect.
there we go. See, now it's corrected. Now you're worth my time. So if you want to find yourself a tag team partner, come for it. But hey, if GTM has any tag teams that they think might be worthy of an opportunity, then I'll be sitting here waiting for the phone call. Until then,
Uh, I don't want to say on certain GTM tag teams. I don't. I mean, I've obviously we cover a lot of GTM on Sportswire, and I love GTM. Obviously, let me just say that out there. And of course, everybody can follow GT Ministries UK, pretty much everywhere: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and even TikTok. But I did want to ask you that actually about the GT Ministries World Champion, since I believe we just mentioned GT Ministries, and an individual here, I'm sure, could pass the message along to those in GT Ministries. But I mean, what do you think happens this weekend in the rematch for the Nonstop Action Wrestling World Class title involving the current GT Ministries champion Disciple against the wild card Tommy Dillon? I should obviously do my due diligence and on behalf of both companies and ask you, what do you think happens?
So I've never faced Disciple myself, and but I've seen from backstage that he is a menacing guy. Like he's a horrible guy. Tommy Dillon. I always keep saying this. When I faced Tommy Dillon for the World Class Championship, again, this was before I joined this. This was pre-society, Callum. This was the
I
mentally,
remember we spoke
yeah.
about the match, I'm pretty
This
sure.
was the mentally drained, thinking he was done with wrestling, Callam. So this is a Callam that was worried about injuring his opponent, who was already injured in the first place, had a conscience, and wanted to remain professional. Let me tell you, if Tommy Dillon had have met this version of Callam Majeikster, he would not have stayed world class champion. Disciple has no morals. Disciple, quite frankly, doesn't give a crap. So And as I've said, I'm a realist. I'm being very, very real. Disciple will win. And
Well, that's what listen. Well, that's what I think because, and I just want to take a minute on the champion because obviously, if you saw the video that the champion had posted earlier today on the Nonstop Action Wrestling social media pages, I mean, he's basically said he wants Connor Cage, the number one contender. Next, obviously, Connor won the battle royale to pretty much give him the next shot, and I kind of think what Disciple's done here over the past several months and started well when he's basically removed the guy that used to be the champion in GT Ministries and the guy that ran things, Mr. Gareth Angel. We haven't seen
yeah,
Gareth Angel since, although there's been rumblings about things on Mr. Angel, but we still haven't seen him yet in GT Ministries. I mean, I saw what he did to Bentley a couple weeks ago. I saw what he's done to Tommy Dillon, obviously, and Enso, Supersonic Sammy Blue, Dave
yeah,
Douglas, one half of the Modern Day Mafia, Pride, Maverick Matt Williams, who was I guess for a minute, I guess it counts in the record books, a Bolton Town Wrestling World Champion. I mean, what Disciple has done the last 4 or 5 months, and we've had Disciple on several times. Disciple right now these days, I mean, I think he's on the best run of his career. And this is a guy that he's been a world champion before. He's been a movie star. I mean, he's done a lot of things, and certainly
yeah.
I would not want to get the champion very, very upset. And we'll see what Tommy Dillon's able to do in the rematch
Good
coming
luck
up
to him.
here.
So all I want to say is good luck to Tommy Dillon.
Well, Tommy Dillon's going to need it, but that's why he's the wild card. But it's usually the team you least expect. All it takes is one lucky moment and a 1-2-3 for the shock of a lifetime. It seems like Dillon, though, keeps going on about the same things. Do you know this individual?
No. And again, one thing we have to understand is life is not some fairy tale. Life is not one of those
Not
things
sunshine
where
and rainbows, like Rocky Balboa said.
exactly. It's not gonna be a one lucky moment, one lucky strike, and then 1, 2, 3, yay, new champ. No, no. In the real world, you have to be a horrible person, and that's why the society are on top. Is because we're horrible, horrible people. This fairy tale does not end well. Not for us anyway. It ends perfectly for the society, but again, just please learn to understand that.
Well, can I give you a comment on something that might pick up on what you just had to say, if you don't mind?
Go ahead.
I think you might want to actually see this one here. And this is from Mr. Gareth Angel himself. So, I mean, I told you there was some rumblings out there from Mr. Angel because obviously GT Ministries returns next Saturday at the Fountains Church in Bradford. By the way, GT Ministries UK on all the social medias for more. But Mr. Angel says hello to both of us. He says, you'll see me on February the 18th for Jack Johnson, who was the former GT Ministries champion, for his baptism. And of course, we support everything that Jack has done to turn his life around. Jack, on a personal level, has always been one of my favorites, and very happy to see he's booked all over the place. And I always hear the running line before I get to the rest of this that Jack Johnson and Davey Getzky, they almost are like twins, but I always say that Davey Getzky is pretty much the Jack Johnson knockoff. But that's here nor there. If Nonstop Action Wrestling fancies dropping me in the tag division, I'm sure I can find a partner. Or how about me and Callam have a long overdue dance? So wait a minute here before the floodgates have opened. Is this Gareth Angel basically saying he wants you in the ring one way or another? Is that how I read this correctly, Mr. Callam Majeikster, the update?
Let me take this back a few years, and we're talking. When I say a few years, we're talking pre-COVID.
That's a long time
when
ago now.
When I was at TNT Explosive Wrestling and Gareth Angel was a TNT Explosive Wrestling heavyweight champion, I called him out. I said I was due my championship match, and after months of calling him out, he finally accepts. Only for TNT not to book the show, for us then to book the match, for Gareth Angel to then say he's taking a break from wrestling. For then a worldwide pandemic to happen. This dance should have been happening 3-4 years ago, but it didn't happen because of you. And now you want to go with me. Now you finally think I'm worthy. Now, And why does it have to be NSAW that books it? Why can't GTM book it? Are GTM too scared that I'm going to pluck the feathers out of their golden goose? I would love to know, Mr. Angel. Unfortunately, I think you're a little too late. If you want to face me, prove it to me. Prove to me that you are worth my time, and I
So,
will be waiting happily.
so before I get to a whole bunch of comments here, are you saying then that, just want to make this clear, because Mr. Angel is listening to this, that Mr. Angel is not worth your time? Is that correct?
From what I saw from your last performance against Disciple, nah,
Okay.
nah.
All right. All right. Well, Mr. Angel has said, as I said, long overdue. So,
And as I said, because of you.
and let me move up Mr. Angel to the back, to the front of the line here before I get to a whole bunch of more comments here. He says, I have other businesses to attend to at GTM, but if NSAW won't book it, we're in Castleford on April. You can have
Oh,
that match.
my birthday month. Again, wonderful. Book it. I would love nothing more than to embarrass you in my hometown. But again, prove to me that you are worth my
Well,
time.
let me ask you a follow-up question here as we're speaking with one of the first ever tag team champions in nonstop action wrestling. That is, of course, Mr. Callam Majeikster, the upgrade. Let me ask you, though, this question before I get to a whole more stack of comments here. When wrestlers like Dan Robertson and others were trying to make a name off Gareth Angel, it almost seemed to me as if they were new kids on the block, right? They were basically trying to make a name, almost like how you referred to the Wrestling Appreciation Society trainees, is
Yeah.
trying to make a name off the backs of you and others that are experienced. But now that you have gold, it seems to me as if that, in your opinion, have the tables turned? Have the tables been reversed? I mean, you're the one with gold right now. I mean, I'm just throwing out there. This is not my
Exactly.
opinion. This is what some people would say. Do you think that's a fair statement, what some may
I
say?
could not I could not agree more with what is obviously your opinion. Don't be afraid to say it. Don't be afraid to
Well,
say it.
we're businessmen on Sportswire too. We have to pay the bills.
No. But yeah,
We
I
have to keep
wouldn't.
the lights on and people tuning in. But you want to say anything further to that?
No,
Okay.
because all I have to say is I agree.
Okay, well, I'll tell you this though. Management though has said in Nonstop Action Wrestling, we'd be more than happy to have you in the asylum, Mr. Angel. But I would just say
Okay.
though,
Right.
can I actually do give my opinion? I wouldn't make a match with Gareth Angel for the Nonstop Action Wrestling Asylum on free TV on YouTube. That has to be Mr. Angel. He has to be on a show. He has to be on an actual show. You can't just put it on YouTube for those to see. It's got to be out there where people pay pounds to see Gareth Angel. So that would just be my business side of it. And I would just say, if the pounds are needed, we do have the resources and funds on Sportswire to make the things happen. So we can help if there certainly is that necessary need to do so. And I want to give another mention to Mr. Joel Cobra, because Joel Cobra has a couple of comments from the Modern Day Mafia. He says,
Okay.
"Good evening, fellas." And he also goes, about you and the gold. I mean, anything that you want to say to Mr. Cobra now that apparently he has joined us here tonight?
Well, he's always saying, but I'm the one with the gold and you're not. So your opinion, again, doesn't really make much of a difference to me.
Okay, all right. I would say though that they have been very impressive in what they've done to the working class militia and the Playtime Mafia, though. And yeah, I
Good
mean,
for them.
okay.
Society's been just as much as
That's
impressive.
true too. That, and you know what? That's a good point, and certainly that is a fair point. And they've upgraded, and also, uh, Mr. Kyle Kennedy, the lawman, makes I think a fair point. Actually, this is a fair point. Let's give some credit here. He wants you now because you're the hot ticket. He's irrelevant. Come to NSAR and you'll be humbled, just like Disciple humbled you. And you know what? I mean, there is nobody. What Disciple did to Gareth Angel, as far as I mean, at least I know of, right, Callam? Nobody did what Disciple did to Gareth Angel.
And again, that's because GTM hasn't booked myself against Gareth Angel because, again, he's all right saying that this dance is long overdue, but the frustrations that you caused myself to go through. Again, if you think what Disciple did to you was bad, you're going to hate me so much more.
Well, I would say this. There's always an expression. I keep going back to this. Be careful what you wish for. So sometimes, that could be the case. And I want to give a mention because I didn't get a chance to bring up his comment a few minutes ago. That is the CCW World Champion. He is their underground heavyweight champion, Mr. Hybrid. And Hybrid, of course, is from the CWO. And anything you want to say to their world champion? Because you're holding.
No, thank you very much for the congratulations. I do appreciate it. Again, it was long overdue, but I finally got there, so thank you. I do appreciate the congratulations. If you're expecting congratulations from me, I do apologize, but I'm not one for delivering that. So,
Okay.
but
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, I respect that. Certainly, Hybrid has been with us a couple of times. We will have him back on Sportswire Radio very soon. And of course, Hybrid is a huge part of things over in CCW, and I want to make sure that everybody goes out there and supports. And this individual says, "You don't know me, but I know you, and that's all that matters for now. When the time is right, we are going to be great friends."
That just sounds like you're going to start sending me screenshots of my house from Google Maps, and I don't know if I do want to be friends with you. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, certain people listen. I remember my father when I was a kid. He actually did the Google Maps, and he saw himself like on, I guess, in front of the house. He was like, "Whoa, look, I was in." So some people like to look at Google Maps, but if they are going to know where you live, I would certainly want to plead the fifth
Yeah.
on any of that. Let me bring up Dan Robertson, the Cult of Killjoy, because he says, "Hi, emo girl," and he says, "I'm not saying anything." I do
You
want to
just
bring this
did.
up. Can I ask you a question about
Uh,
Dan Robertson? But I want to ask you in a different way because I asked this question to Remus Kane. I want to get your thoughts because obviously you're in the locker room, you're in the back. Did Dan Robertson drink bleach?
he's definitely drank something. I don't know what it was he drank, but you know what? Again, 10 years of wrestling. I've been hurt. I've hit my head pretty hard. I don't think my head's ever been hit as hard as Dan Robertson's has because he seems to have this thing that him and Remus are best friends, and it
Kane
was
Joy and yeah.
it's cringy. It's awful. It sounds like some anime ship name that everyone hates. It's no one is supporting Kane Joy. No one even believes Kane Joy is a real thing. It's just something that you are lying to yourself about, and it needs to stop. We get it. You need friends. You say you're a cult, but no one follows you. I get it. You feel the
You
need
know
for
what
the
this
attention.
reminds me of before I come back to Mr. Robertson? Way back in one of the early incarnations of Chris Jericho, he used to have a spot, and it used to be like I'm a Jerichoholic hotline. I'm a Jerichoholic. They would have like a fake number to come up. It almost seems like Dan Robertson has become like a Jerichoholic, where he needs
Probably
help, he
has.
needs
And
intervention, and that
again,
kind of.
again, Dan, you need help, and that's fine. Just stop trying to come to us for it.
And management, before I go back to Robertson, says there'd certainly be the case when that Gareth Angel comes to Ensaw, he'd be on a show, not a song. Yeah, obviously, listen, if you're going to actually wrestle Gareth Angel, I would not want to put that on free TV. That's all. That's just my point. Listen, any good promoter, anybody who's good in business, if it's Callam Majeikster, one of the tag team champions in Nonstop Action Wrestling, first ever one, against Gareth Angel, multiple time world champion, that's a match that's a main event. That's a match you put out there to sell tickets. That's just my point. Any good businessman would do that. That's all. And also, Dan Robertson says, "Oh my God, is that Ozzy Osbourne?" I don't really know if you look like Ozzy though. Not at least Ozzy right now.
Dan Robertson thinks he's a funny man, and you're really not. You make so many comments about me having a man bun or looking emo or calling
But
me on
Ozzy
the
doesn't have a
iPhone.
man bun though. Ozzy's never really been,
It's
other than
because
maybe like.
it's because I'm British and have long hair, and that's pretty much all there is to it.
Eh.
Dan, you need putting down. You hurt my head.
All right,
Like,
fair enough here. So I'll remove this
please,
comment, and
please
obviously
do.
I will say for Ozzy fans, if Dan's actually an Ozzy fan, certainly we send our deepest sympathies because Ozzy has announced that he's not going to tour anymore. So obviously, if you had a ticket, I know Ozzy was supposed to come to the UK and he's not
He
going to
was,
come anymore.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was kind of bummed about that because I actually sidetrack. I actually kind of liked a few of the new songs from his new album, so I actually kind of was thinking about going, but I'm not going to be going. But I'm talking with you, so that's okay. Jenny Hayes, who will be with us Friday, I believe 9 o'clock, says good evening. Obviously, looking forward to somebody who could be performing and touring. Has got new music. Jenny also has some new music, and also here we have from MX Nights, Mr. Superstar. You've got a super fan. Dylan very much wants some acknowledgments from his hero and idol. Be kind to your fans. Well, okay. And Kyle Kennedy says, "Let me get in there with Gareth. I just want to talk." I don't
Oh
think the lawman
God.
though. I don't
Oh
think that he
God.
gets in there for talking though. I think he wants to do some fighting. I don't think.
Yeah, that's oof, Christ, we know the history between those two, so
Yes,
yeah,
we saw that in GTM. Yep, we definitely saw
yeah.
that and such. And Dylan says Dan Robertson. I thought it was Johnny Depp. Boy, I don't know if I'd want to be compared to Johnny Depp. I know he had all his issues there, in the press and such. I mean, I know he's getting over it, but I don't know if I'd want to be compared to Johnny Depp. But I will certainly move away from that comment because I don't want to get too off the rails because we've only got a few more minutes. So I want to ask you though then this question for Saturday. Obviously, we have spoke a lot with you tonight, and we've spoke a lot about everything that's going on with you. And what do you want to say to your final comments to anybody that potentially would be in the ring with you and to management on this open challenge, as we know who the opponents are, but we don't know them publicly. So what do you want to say to your eventual opponents and to anybody in management who's basically scheduled all this?
Well, to whoever it is that does or has accepted this open challenge, and to management at NSAW, good luck. But I guarantee you will have never been in the ring with this society. You may have been in the ring with the old society, but the old society is gone. The old society is dead. The society is now upgraded. Upgraded to the point where we became the first ever NSAW Tag Team Champions. And if you think after a week that we're letting go of these, you are sadly and sorely mistaken. I wish you all the best. I really do, and I genuinely do mean that, but it's just not going to happen, guys. I appreciate that you guys are optimistic. But again, there's optimism and then there is realism, and the society are realists. So,
Interesting. Interesting. All right, before I ask you this last question, the lawman Kyle Kennedy says it'll never happen, but I'd like to wrestle Gareth Angel. You can never say it'll never happen. Listen, never say never in wrestling. You can never say never because Gareth Angel came on here tonight and it seemed like he opened the door to wrestle somewhere other than GT Ministries. So I mean, if that's a sign to never say never. Listen, I never thought I would see the day that Gareth Angel would wrestle somewhere else in a while. I mean, it's been a while since he's wrestled somewhere else. I mean, it's been a while though. To be fair, it's been a while since we've heard anything from him. Period. Since after what Disciple did to him about 5 months ago, but that's
yeah.
here nor there. So never say never. But I want to ask you this last question before closing thoughts, and it's kind of a reflective one. But now that you're holding the gold, is this the biggest win of your career?
It's the biggest win of my career so far. This will hold a special place in my heart because everyone remembers their first. Everyone remembers their first concert. Everyone remembers their first night out. Everyone remembers their first big celebration. This is going to stay in my heart and my memory forever. But there is so much more that the upgrade and the society can and will do in the future. This is just the start.
All right, only the beginning here on Sportswire Radio. It tells us here only the beginning. Listen, certainly, we'll certainly see what the future may bring, and I have a very good feeling that Callam Majeikster has certainly upgraded the society, and that's why we are all rising, because it is going to be, I think, 2023 is going to be the year of the society and summit. They have kicked it off in fashion, winning the first ever nonstop action wrestling tag team championships. They will be in action coming up here this Saturday at Ensor Wrestling's Fatal Attraction. Like I said, Fatal Attraction was a famous movie starred from Michael Douglas and Sharon Stone. You're going to forget that movie, I promise you, here when it comes to what the society are going to bring to Fatal Attraction. So, my friend, I want to give you the floor. I want to give you some closing thoughts. And anything else you want to plug, share, say? And it has certainly been a rather eventful night with you once again, always is. So I turn it over to you and fire away, my friend.
Well, as you've already said before, you can always follow my social medias. Callam Majeikster on Facebook, Callam_Majeikster on Instagram, and you can also follow my YouTube channel, which, similar to Ringless Kane, I post promos and my wrestling matches as well. NSAW, Fatal Attraction. I look forward to seeing who has accepted our open challenge, but again, the result will always be the same of the society winning. Blackheart, I miss you, but believe me, if you are sticking to your word and the shows are coming back on April, that means I get to celebrate my 1 year anniversary of debuting for Blackheart. And what an event that would be to kick the ever-loving crap out of Reese Lightning on the anniversary. That'd be wonderful. And GTM, of course, I can't forget you. When Gareth Angel has proved himself worthy, you know where I will be. You can message or you can call me. And that is all I have to say from the NSAW Tag Team Champion, the upgrade, Callam Majeikster.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, certainly a lot we heard tonight from Mr. Callam Majeikster. Obviously, a lot that is went on here on Sportswire Radio, and I know that Facebook might be having a trouble here. We might have lost the last few minutes, but we have it on YouTube and Twitter, and I will also post the last few minutes of it on Instagram as well. So we do apologize if anybody is tuned in. I think it's on Facebook's end here because it seems as if they're having an issue. So if you were looking to catch us, we will certainly make sure the rest of that is posted. Look at those championships one more time, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that championship. That is the prize that every single person wants. I don't care if it's the Usos, the Acclaimed. I don't care if it's anybody else, the Motor City Machine Guns. You name a team that's a champion right now, they crave, they desire to hold those championships. And right now, currently, ladies and gentlemen, it is held by the society, and it is Callam Majeikster who's holding that. And Callam, my friend, congratulations. We look forward to a big 23 from you, and we'll definitely speak with you, I have no doubt, between now and the 29th of April.
100%, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. If you're on sportnarium.com/play, we'll go back to your regularly scheduled programming. And if you're on Sportswire Radio on Facebook, I don't know if you're with us still, because, again, apologies if we might have lost the last few minutes, but certainly we'll make sure that's posted on Instagram. We were here with Callam Majeikster, who will be in the ring here coming up this Saturday at Nonstop Action Wrestling's Fatal Attraction. Thank you, everybody here. I'll be back Friday night with Walker Wall Street of CCW and the Elite, and then the Rock Idol of the UK, Jenny Hayes, obviously Callam's teammate here in the society. So very, very excited to have Jenny back on. We'll speak music, wrestling, plus much, much more. Thank you, everybody, here for tuning in on the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio.